Hey guys, it's William with Scamming Scammers Action. We're getting started on our October live Q&A here on Facebook. This is just our monthly Q&A that we do, and we're just getting everything set up, so just give me a couple minutes here to get everything going. We'll get the chat going and we'll start. Uh, we're going to cover a few topics today. I'm just letting the live stream get set up. There's a little bit of a delay, so I'm just giving it a few minutes. And I'm just reading a couple of questions that just popped in that I'm going to grab real quick, so hold on one second. Okay, so thanks everyone for joining us. We're going to do our October live Q&A on Facebook. A lot of you guys wrote in some great questions. I'm going to get started right away with a few things. And if you guys do have questions, please feel free to write them in the chat, and I'll try to grab them as quickly as I can and answer them. Hi to everybody that's joining us. Thank you for joining for our Q&A. So a few things going on. So as we know, we're heading around towards the holiday season. It is the end of October. Next week will be, or this week will be Halloween. Keep in mind that from now until right up until Christmas Day, scammers are going to be working harder than ever trying to get money from you, gift cards, all sorts of stuff. So be very, very, very vigilant in the next couple months, because you're going to see a lot of fake profiles. You're going to see a lot of friend requests. You're going to see a lot of random messages, emails, phone calls from numbers you don't know. It will be scammers. This is the busiest time of year for Anna and myself as far as helping victims and trying to get people to not send money, gift cards, or bank information to scammers. So be very vigilant. Be aware it's the holiday season, and also be aware that scammers do pay attention to politics. They do pay attention to what's going on here in America right now, and so with the elections happening and with a possible stimulus, a second stimulus check could be possible in the next few weeks or months. Scammers are aware of that, and they're always watching the news to see what's going on. So be very, very careful with that in the next couple months. So, and again, if you're talking to somebody online and they don't want to talk to you on the site, they want you to go to WhatsApp, they want you to go to Hangouts, see it as a big red flag. Because normal people don't want to push you off a site and automatically go to Hangouts or automatically go to WhatsApp. So if someone, you just met them on, say, a dating site, and, you just start chatting back and forth on a dating site like OkCupid or Tagged or whatever, and they say something to you like, hey, I'm not always on the site. Let me get your email. Let me get your WhatsApp. Let me get your whatever, Hangouts. It's going to be a scammer. It always is, and just block them. So, just checking you guys' messages. I answered 911, what's your emergency? I've answered a few with some weird things as well. So I have a lot of great questions. The first question that somebody asked was, do scammers try and romance you as themselves? Do they always use fake profiles, or would they try and use their real one? So that's a great question. I'm going to get some feedback on this too, but this is what I'm going to say. Scammers don't always use fake profiles. Scammers come in all different forms. You might have a scammer using a fake military profile that's trying to get money or gift cards from you. But scammers do scam as themselves. It's not unusual to have, if you get a random friend request from, let's give, for example, I'm gonna give you an example because this happened earlier this week. Let's say you are 56 years old, you're divorced, and you're online, and you get a friend request from an 18, 19, 21-year-old young Nigerian boy. I call them boys because, when you're that age, you're still a boy. And they want to be your friend. Now, if you don't have friends in Nigeria, if you don't have connections to this young boy, and all of a sudden you're getting a friend request from a young boy who's like 19 years old, lives in Lagos, wants to just be your friend, see it as a red flag. You have to think, scammers do try to romance you as themselves. They do what's called a visa scam. So they will friend you as themselves with their real photos, their real profile, and they'll want to be your friend. They want to get to know you, and then over time they'll start romancing you. They'll tell you sad stories. They'll tell you, I'm an orphan. My parents are dead. I take care of my family. Blah blah blah. And then they start to weave these stories, and they'll tell you things. It's very, very common for them to tell you, I sleep on a dirt floor. I have no food. I have one T-shirt and one pair of pants. I have nothing. And they do this to gain your trust. They work the same way that a fake profile would. They tell you stories to gain your trust, make you feel sorry for them, and then they romance you. And oftentimes what happens is you'll have a 19-year-old Nigerian boy talking to a 56-year-old woman and say, "Oh, you're divorced, honey. I can make love for 10 hours. I'm huge. I'm this. I'm that. I can pay passionate love to you. I'm the strongest man in Africa." And they tell these stories that romance these women, and then they ask for iTunes gift cards. They ask you to pay for their phone. They ask you for a new phone. They ask you for shoes. They ask you for clothes. Then they ask you, "I want to marry you. I want to come to your country. Pay for the immigration." And it's extremely common. It happens all the time. So what you have to do really is, yes, they do scam us themselves. You have to really think with a clear head and think to yourself, if I'm 56 years old, why am I talking to a 19-year-old boy? Would I go on a date with one of my children's friends? Let's say you have a 20-year-old son, and you have to think, would you go on a date with one of your son's friends? No, of course you wouldn't. That's, they're kids, they ain't got nothing in common with you. What are you going to talk about? Think of it the same way. Why would you date a 20-year-old kid from Nigeria? So they do scam us themselves. They visa scam. They try everything to get things from a lot of women. We get at least 4 or 5 women a week in our inbox who are divorced ladies of 40s, 50s, 60s who are dating young boys that are Nigerian, and they're sending them money, gift cards, all this stuff, and they say to us, "Well, he loves me." No, you're dating a kid for a start, and he's scamming you. So, yes, they do scam us themselves, just to answer your question and how they work. And the stories are usually the same. Rhonda George Strait needed to quit sending me friend requests. George Strait, I get Keanu Reeves. My Betty character gets Keanu Reeves quite often. So they do pretend to be celebrities, and it's crazy what they do. Next question, we had somebody wrote in, and they said, "I'm talking to a soldier online. He wants to come and visit me, but I have to email his commander, and he said it'll cost $4,500 to take his leave. I don't know what to do because he said the Army has to replace him for him to visit me. He said his bank account is frozen due to him being deployed. Is this a scam, or is he for real?" It's a scam. So we talk about this very, very often. Hi, everyone coming into the chat. I do see you guys. And Christy, I will answer your question next. So no, soldiers don't need to pay for a leave. They don't need to pay for vacation. They don't need to pay for a replacement. You as a civilian will never talk to a soldier's commander. You are not in the military. The military does not deal with civilians when it comes to a soldier's leave, pay, any of that stuff. So it'll be a scammer. You're definitely talking to a scammer. Good morning, everybody. Soldiers do not pay for leaves. They do not pay to replace. They don't do any of that. So you're definitely talking to a scammer. I would recommend you block him. Don't send him any money above all. And keep in mind that the commander that you're writing to, emailing to, I suspect, or probably talking to on Hangouts, is going to be the scammer. He's just playing two roles. And that's what he's doing. And so I would recommend you block him. Don't send the money. It's definitely a scam. And you can go, you can check our notes on our page. But if you don't want to check our notes, go to Military Times, go to the Army Times, check out anything online run by the military that tells you soldiers do not pay for leaves. And you do not talk to a commander. So, Christy, to answer your question, why do they... hang on, let me scroll up. Why are they always asking for my photos? So this happens a lot. You'll be talking to somebody online, and they'll say to you, "Dear, send me a photo. Send me another photo. Send me a third photo." I've had my character Betty online. Scammers have asked for, "Send me 15 photos of yourself. Send me a photo of yourself sitting by your chair," or whatever. So they ask for photos for one of two reasons. One, they want to collect them and use them to make fake profiles. So if you send them 10 photos, they have the ammo they need to make a fake profile with your photos, and they have lots of photos of the same person so they can look more legit. Second reason is a lot of good scammers, a lot of ones that are very seasoned and are very, just they know what they want and they're going to go for it. They ask you for photos because they check your photos in Google, TinEye, and Yandex to see if your photos are stolen, to see if you're using fake photos that are being used in scams, to make sure you're not a scam baiter or another scammer. So that's usually why they ask so much for photos. And they also want to make sure you're real. If you're online and you only have like 2 photos on your profile, they'll ask you for more photos to make sure you're legit. Because there are a lot of scam baiters like Anna and myself that do bait, and they don't have a lot of photos to share. With my Betty character, I have hundreds of photos that a friend gave me, so I look more legit. But that's the 2 main reasons why they ask for that. Girl on WhatsApp is a Navy officer and she wanted a gift card to check her status. What should I do? You should block it. There's no Navy officers sitting on WhatsApp needing gift cards. The military pays very well. They are paid when they're deployed. They're paid when they're on base. They pay when they're at the camp. They get paid. So you should block. It's going to definitely be a scammer. Next question we have is someone wrote in, I was duped by a fake scammer profile 3 years ago. I blocked him once. I found out he was fake, and I did not hear anything. I even deleted my social media for this entire time, 3 whole years. I opened up a new account when the pandemic hit because I needed to keep in touch with family, friends, and coworkers during quarantine. A few days after I opened my new social media account, my same scammer came back to me. He had the same stolen photo and the same fake name, but it's a different profile from the one that scammed me. He's asking where I've been. How do these animals find me? Now I'm getting phone calls, weird numbers all over the place. I'm frustrated, angry. What can I do? So, happens a lot. What happens is a scammer, if he gets money from you, he's going to take your information, he's going to share it to other people, and he's going to keep your information. Even if he doesn't get money, he's going to keep your information, and he's going to save it. And you have to think scammers are a lot like, salespeople. When you talk to a salesman, you buy something, that salesman keeps your information, and then he may come back to you a year later and say, hey, sold you a washer last year, I want to sell you a dryer this year. And so they keep your information just like a salesman would, and they come back to you again and again and again and want to know, hey, can I get more stuff from you? Hey, where you been? Blah, blah, blah. So what they do is they look for you. They might type your name into search and they found you. They found your profile. If you're using the same profile photo, they probably found you. If you registered your social media account with your phone number and they still have your phone number or your email address, and it's the same one, they'll find you that way too. They put you into search and they look for you and they stalk you, and that's probably how he found you. The best thing you can do is do not answer him, block him, do not respond, do not say, a lot of people want to reply to these guys and say F you or go to hell or whatever. Don't do it. Just block them and move on with your life. Don't give them any information. Don't give them any ammunition. Scammers love a response. Continue blocking. If you get weird phone calls, continue blocking. If the phone calls get out of control where you're getting hundreds of phone calls a day, change your number. But make sure when you open a new social media account that you don't use your phone number publicly. Like, you make sure it's all locked down. Make sure none of that stuff is public so they can't find you, because that's a lot of how scammers are finding you. Don't put your phone number on Facebook. You don't have to do that. And a lot of people do that and they realize it's public and they're like, oh no, so don't do that. Nicholas, I'm too sad that I will not celebrate my birthday on Friday, and these girls in Hangout want gift cards after I received from people I know in real life. Well, they do the main Hangouts if I told them. If you're talking to any female in Hangouts that you've met online and they're asking you for gift cards, they're scammers. They don't care if it's your birthday. They don't care if you need a new kidney. Hangouts is a hotbed for scammers. So if you're talking to these ladies online and they're on Hangouts and they're asking for gift cards, you need to block every single one who has asked you for something, because it's going to be a scammer 100% all of the time. So thanks for everyone for joining us. I'll try to grab all your questions if I can get them. Some of them I might miss. If I do and it's important, please write it again and I'll grab it. There's no way to stop a scammer from using your photos, so a lot of victims will come to us and say, I sent my scammer 10 photos of myself during the time we were in a relationship. What can I do? The answer to that is nothing. There's nothing you can do. Once photos are sent, you can't get them back. You can't stop a scammer from using them. You can't, you can report the fake profile they're being used on, but you can't stop somebody from using your photos once they're being used. You get one fake profile taken down, scammer makes 10 more. So it's really hard to get all of them taken down. It's really hard to get all of them reported. It's just an endless cycle, and it's extremely hard to get them all taken down. It's impossible. We've had people who've had their photos stolen, and they just, they're like, hey, I took down 5 profiles, and today I found 100 more. It's nothing you can do. If you're concerned about whether your photos are being used or not in scams, what you can do, and it might take a month or two after the fact that you've sent these photos, but go to TinEye, go to Google, go to Yandex, take those photos, put them in the search, and see if anything comes up. And if something comes up that's not yours, obviously, if you find fake profiles and stuff, then you know scammers are using your photos. And as I said, you can report the photos, you can report the profile, but it's not going to stop a scammer from using them. The majority of the time, scammers who are talking, if it's a male scammer talking to a female, they just want to make sure you're real. That's the main thing. They don't want to screw around if you're a scam baiter. They don't want to mess around if you're not genuine. So that's the main reason they ask for photos. And we've had victims' photos used before, but it's not common. They more or less want to check to make sure you're real, and that's why they do it. So, next question we have, someone wrote into us. I refused to send money to a scammer after I found out he was pretending to be a soldier. I told him off and blocked him. He came back with several names and phone numbers texting me telling me he has connections in Florida where I live and will send people to my house to beat me and take his money. I'm terrified. What can I do? Do scammers have connections in the USA? He wanted money sent directly to Nigeria when he asked. So, look, scammers threaten. And, they make threats because they want to scare you. And a lot of people get scared. A lot of people are, we've had people come to our inbox that are like ready to pack their house and move because the scammer knows where they live. 99% of the time, these scammers, their threats are empty. Do scammers in Nigeria have connections in the States? Of course. Sure, they might. But the majority of the time, and I'm talking a large majority of the time, they don't. They're doing it to intimidate you. They're doing it to scare you. They're doing it to, come after you. I've had scammers, really nasty scammers, who found out where I work, where I live. They found out my name. They found out everything. And that was years ago, and I had scammers threaten to send people from the States to kill me and all kinds of things. Guess what? I'm still here. Nobody came to my door. So don't live in fear of a scammer. You know, don't get this fear where you think that they're going to come knocking at your door in the middle of the night and take their money. It's mostly to scare you. And scammers, when they don't get money and they've wasted and invested a lot of time in you, will get angry. And so they do this as a last resort to try and get cash to scare you. So I think you'll be fine. I think the best thing you could do is just block them. Don't say a word, just block. If people send you threats, just, screen shoot them and save them, but just block the person. Nothing will likely happen. Can a scamming soldier, if she is real, get disciplined? I told her I would report it and get a court martial. If she's a real soldier, but 99.999% of the time, it's not the real soldier. It's just a stolen picture being used by scammers. And all the years Anna and myself have been doing this, and we're going on 7 years this coming year, we've been helping people. We've never once found a real soldier scamming as herself or himself. So it's more than likely probably a stolen photo, stolen video. Maybe they're using a money mule. But if you have absolute undeniable proof that it is the woman in the photo, it is the real soldier, send it to the military. But I don't think it'll be the real soldier. I don't think it'll be the real person. I've never met a military person who's scammed. So, but like I said, take your information over to the military, take it over to the FBI, drop it, let them investigate it. They'll get to the bottom of it. Christy, is there a way to trap them and catch them? No. And Rhonda, why don't they get in trouble? So look, we've had scammers that have taken hundreds of thousands of dollars from people. We've had the scammer's address, phone number, name, full name, photo ID, their real passport. We've turned it into the EFCC, we've turned it into the FBI, and we get, thank you, we've taken your information, blah, 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 and then that's it. Because scammers come from places that are very corrupt. Nigeria. You've seen what's going on in Nigeria right now. Ghana, India, Pakistan. We've had scammers in Afghanistan and Bangladesh. They're doing it all over the world, but there's certain countries that are more susceptible to these type of scams. There are countries where there's corruption. We've caught Nigerian police officers scamming. We've caught people from EFCC scamming. They don't go after these scammers. Now, they may go after a few, and you see news stories that say, 10 Nigerian boys arrested for bank fraud. Okay. That's 10 out of 10 million. There's a lot of corruption, and as far as in the U.S., the FBI doesn't have the funds, doesn't have the resources, and doesn't have the ability to go after them. There's no task force that's, busting down doors of scammers. And unfortunately, they know this, and that's why scammers get away with it so often. So it's a crime that is not talked about enough. It's a crime that is thought of as a silly crime. People laugh and go, "Oh, you were scammed online," and that's part of the problem too. I'd love to see them go after them, but they don't. They really don't. And that's why isn't our government crack down on scammers or USA? They don't. You know what happens is they go after the mules, the innocent victims. We've had innocent victims who, honest to God, did not know they were involved with a scammer, who have like cashed checks, used their bank accounts. Those are the people that end up going to jail. They don't go after the scammers. I mean, the U.S. government right now is going through so much as far as politically and coronavirus, all these things going on, and even prior to all this, they just don't have the resources, they don't have the people, they don't have the ability. We have relationships with countries like Nigeria. The FBI cannot go to Nigeria and arrest a scammer. It just won't work that way, and so they get away with it. It's really sad, and it's kind of the way it is. And scammers know this. It's a crime that they can commit that it's very, very rare that they ever get caught. The ones that get caught are like the big time Bitcoin scammers, the big time check fraud scammers, credit card scammers, the ones that are reeling in like Hush Puppy, reeling in millions of dollars. They're on target. But some 19-year-old Nigerian kid who's getting $2 or $3 or $4,000 from some woman in Nebraska because he's pretending to be a soldier, they would probably never get caught. So, every person I talk to want help and give me Google Play. See, look, if they ask for Google Play cards, Steam cards, Amazon cards, iTunes gift cards, any of those gift cards, they're scammers, straight out. Normal people don't ask for those things from strangers online. So it's a quick thing. If you're talking to anybody online that asks for those things, they're a scammer. You don't even have to think twice about it. They're a scammer. Next question we have. I'm talking to a man online who said he's a captain at sea. He even sent me videos of himself on the boat. He said he's being attacked by pirates and he needs me to accept a special box. I don't know what to do. The shipping company said I need to pay for the shipping. So you need to block him. Let's be real. No person, no human being on this planet who's being attacked by pirates is going to go on the internet and ask for help to send a box from strangers. Where's he going to mail the box from? He's on a ship in the middle of the ocean being attacked by pirates. Okay? It's comical. And someone on YouTube the other day wrote to me and said, "Oh, come on, they don't really do that." Yes, they do. They use attacked by pirates all the time. They even give fake coordinates. Anna and myself actually use. There's a website and it's free. And it's Vessel Finder, and you can find where real ships are in the ocean, and you can find where real ships are being SOS called, and where there's different things happening. All this information is free. Scammers online will say, "Oh, I'm in the middle sea at the Horn of Africa, and pirates are coming after me, and I need to send you a box." It's a scammer. That them saying that is the equivalent of me being in a house fire, and instead of running out of the house, stay online and tell everybody that my stuff is burning and I need new stuff. It's not logical. It makes no sense. And if you're talking to someone who claims to be a sea captain and pirates are attacking them, it's a scammer. It's always a scammer. So, hi, everyone joining us. Yeah, scammers are bad in Ghana. They are. And scammers in Ghana actually have better internet connection than Nigerians. So they tend to be a little bit more clear when they talk to you. Personally, I think Ghanaians, they're a little bit more educated. They have a little bit more of an ability to stay on the internet, clearer phone conversations. They don't get kicked off the internet as much as the Nigerians. So. Elizabeth, you have a question about some phone numbers. Sent me a picture of a pretty dog. It could be anything. If you want to inbox us that information, we can check those numbers for you after the Q&A, and I'll see where they lead. It's kind of odd, but I mean, it's another thing too. If you're talking to somebody online, like we can check out numbers, just drop them to our inbox. If you check online and you're talking to somebody online, and let's say they're a soldier and their wallpaper on Facebook is like a teddy bear with flowers, or their WhatsApp photo is like something stupid, like a rose or something, and they're supposed to be a commando killer, it's a scammer. They use that to show that they're sensitive to victims, and that's the only reason they do it. Do victims involved in money laundering get arrested? Sometimes. Sometimes they do. It depends. we've had a couple people over the years, Americans, that have money laundered for scammers knowingly, and they've ended up in jail. We had one lady a few years ago that actually, she admitted, she's like, yeah, I do it for them. I get money. I get, $100 out of $1,000, and blah blah. She ended up going to jail for 3 years, so with a felony. So they do get caught. Some do, not all, but some do. Some definitely do. Why is WhatsApp so bad? It's a place where scammers bring all their victims. So let's say you have a scammer that has dating profiles on 5 different sites. They're on Facebook, they're on Tagged, they're on Plenty of Fish, Our Time, and Match. They have profiles on all these sites, and they have victims from every site. They'll bring them all to WhatsApp because they can call for free. They can send stolen videos and make it look like they're video calling you for free. They can text with you, and they can keep all their victims on one app. WhatsApp is extremely, extremely popular in West African countries. It's extremely popular in India. It's not to say that WhatsApp is bad. Like, if you want to call someone international, WhatsApp is great because it's free. I've used WhatsApp and Viber when I travel so that I can call friends and stuff overseas. But, if you're just meeting someone online and they automatically want you on WhatsApp, it's more than likely a scammer. Very, 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 very likely a scammer. Debbie, what do you think of the term catfish? I think that's a good question, and I think that was one we're going to answer today too. So let's talk about this. I hate the word catfish because there's a difference between a catfish and a scam. And the reason I say this is because there are people who create profiles online, and they're catfish, and they do it just to screw with other people. They don't ask for money or anything. Like, if you really think about it, my character Betty is a catfish. It's a fake profile that I use online. It's to me, a catfish is somebody that goes online and pretends to be somebody else, whether it be to screw with an ex, mess with your ex-wife or ex-husband, mess with a coworker, mess with somebody online. That, to me, that's a catfish. That's someone who's online pretending to be someone they're not for amusement or just to mess with people. To me, a scammer is a scammer. A scammer is someone who goes online, makes a fake profile to specifically cause harm to another person, and financial harm, monetary harm. And that's what I think the difference is between the two. So, have you heard of Telegram app? Yes, Telegram. Telegram is very popular. It was actually really popular in the Middle East before it was here, and now a lot of scammers are on Telegram. They're on Telegram quite often. They ask people to go to Telegram. There's a lot of them on there. How can I get the EFCC to do something regarding my petition? There's nothing you can do. If you filed the information with the EFCC, you can just sit and wait. I mean, as frustrating as that sounds, you have to remember that places like in West Africa, like Nigeria, Ghana, Ivory Coast, they move on their time. That's Africa time. So to us, like people in the UK, Australia, New Zealand, the US, when we go to do something, we go to file something, boom, it gets filed, it gets looked at, we do a police report, 2 days later, we got the police report. In countries in Africa, it's like that song Living on Tulsa Time. They do things at their own pace. And the EFCC is not a wealthy organization where they have millions of workers and things like that. They're very strapped financially. They're very strapped for manpower. And things are done a lot slower in a lot of countries in Africa. It's not right away. It's when I can get to it. So we've had victims that have waited 2, 3, and 4 years before their cases are even looked at from the EFCC. So the best thing I can tell you is to be patient. That's all you can do. Be patient. And I know that's frustrating, because I'm sure the scammer is still scamming, but being patient is all you can do. And again, scammers are on every app. I've never used Whisper app. They're on Bottled. They're on all the apps. There's no place that's safe from a scammer, including LinkedIn. They're on LinkedIn now quite a bit too. So you just have to be careful. Nicholas, why did the police in Chicago contact me in WhatsApp after I refused? Generally, the police won't contact you on WhatsApp, so I'd be very careful of that. Keep in mind that the police, the FBI, Interpol, EFCC, they're not going to WhatsApp you. They're not going to Google Hangout you. That's going to be probably a scammer, so be very careful of that. The police will call you directly to your phone, from their phone directly, not on an app, and you'll know it's them. So, next question we have. It's a good question. Do you think the current fighting and killing in Nigeria because of the End SARS movement will slow down scammers from going online and trying to get money? Yes and no. So, okay, the End SARS thing, if you guys don't know what that is, it is a movement. It's they're fighting in Nigeria. They're killing each other in Nigeria right now. If you've ever followed the news and see the videos, there are Nigerians slaughtering other Nigerians. They're fighting like like a civil war right now. There's people dying in the streets in certain parts of Nigeria. Um, they want to end this kind of police law enforcement thing that they've had going on there, corruption, that type of thing. It's horrible for people because there are people getting murdered, there are people being killed, there's a lot of corruption. I think it has slowed down some scammers just because of if the fighting is in their neighborhood or their city. It has slowed down some, but on the other hand, it's also ramped up scammers because what they're doing now is they're using this civil unrest to try and get money, gift cards, visas, green cards, marry me, I'm going to love you forever, and they're from Nigeria and they want to get out of their country. So it's kind of a mix. It's taken away some of the romance scammers. It's taken away half a dozen of one and brought you half a dozen of another. So they're getting a little bit more desperate in Nigeria as far as trying to get money, trying to get out, trying to leave their country. I get it, but they're doing it the wrong way, and they're trying to romance people and get things from people, and it's wrong. So I think it's going to be a mixed thing. You're going to have more romance scammers in the next few months because they're trying to get things. Debbie, can't there be an international form that can be created? There probably could be. I mean, look, politicians and stuff, the last thing they care about right now is romance scamming. At least in the United States, if you see all the politicians running for office and all this BS going on right now with our country, none of them have ever brought up romance scamming. I don't care what party you support, whether you're a Republican, Democrat, I don't care. I don't care about any of that crap. No politician from any party in the United States or anywhere has ever brought up romance scamming and fighting it. It's just something that's not talked about. It's not something that's brought up. It's not a topic that is at the top of any politician's list. It should be. People are losing a lot of money, but it's not out there. And that's why we have pages like this, so we can raise awareness. And the more awareness we can get, hopefully maybe somebody that has the ability to form a task force that can, do something about these scammers can reach out, because it's getting worse and worse. But as far as relying on politicians or government, you can't. Nothing's going to be done, and it's unfortunate. Next question we have. What does it mean when a person is named Jones Harris, but his URL is Hussein MD? Okay, so it's great. URLs, we all know what URLs are. Top of your toolbar, http://facebook.com/blah. That's your URL when you go to a profile. So okay, you're talking to a person named Jones Harris, but his URL is Hussein MD. That tells you that the scammer is using his real profile, and what he has done is he has changed the photo to a stolen photo, and he's changed the name on the profile, but he's using his real original profile. So very often we will see a man named Bob Jones on Facebook, and his photo is, Dr. Pinto, and the name is Bob Jones, but the URL says, "Oh, you whale, fatty boy money," okay, Nigeria, whatever. It means it's a scammer from Nigeria who has used their real profile, and they've went ahead and just changed the URL, and they're trying to scam with their real profile. That also comes down to, if you're talking to somebody online, and we see this so often, victims bring these profiles to the inbox. You're talking to a man named Bob Jones, and he has a photo up, and there's a couple more photos in the album, and then underneath all that, in the photo albums, there's photos of 25 young 18-year-old Nigerian boys. Or there's a photo of a Ghanaian or West African or Indian person from India in the photo albums, and people say, well, how do you know it's fake? You're looking at the scammer right there. A lot of scammers don't hide their photo albums, they don't hide their photos, and they use their real profile, and they just change the name. So they're talking to somebody, and the profile photo is Dr. Pinto, but in the albums, on the timeline even, there's photos of a young African boy, or there's a young African girl, or a young boy from India, or a young boy from Pakistan. And people go, well, I don't know who that person is. That's a scammer. They just don't hide their photos. So when you look at a profile, look at all the red flags. Look at them, because there's some profiles we look at and within 10 seconds we know they're fake, and you should be able to do that as well. Question things. Question why do you have a photo of a doctor on your profile photo, but in your album you have photos of 10 Nigerian kids holding money? I mean, come on. So take a look at it. Always do your investigative work. It's really easy to do. So. Just checking questions. I don't want to miss if you guys ask something. The chat goes pretty fast for me. But yeah, there's scammers all over too. I mean, I don't want you. Hi, everyone that's joining the chat. I don't want you guys to think that we target Nigeria. We don't. I mean, I have friends in Nigeria that are awesome people, that are very smart, educated, wonderful human beings, and they don't scam. I have friends in Ghana that are awesome, hardworking people. They don't scam. Scammers come from all over. The sad part is a large majority that do romance scamming do come from West Africa, and that's why it's so frustrating. They're giving their countries a bad name, and it's horrible. I find myself defending people, that say, "Oh, all Nigerians are bad." It's like, no, they're not. But yes, a lot of them scam, but there's a lot of great ones too. So just keep that in mind. I mean, and they come from all over the globe. They're not just in Africa. So, next question we have. What are some things to look out for when talking to somebody online? What are some typical things a scammer says using a fake profile about themselves that I can look out for? It's a great question. So let's talk about this. So in our notes section, we have on this page, we have, things to look out for, red flags, what to check when talking to somebody online. However, here's a few things. The typical scammer using a fake profile, generally sticks to the same BS storyline. So it's going to be, I'm a widow. I have a child who's either with a nanny or at boarding school. I'm working overseas. I'm on an oil rig. I'm an orthopedic surgeon. I'm a doctor. I'm a soldier. I'm in Yemen. I'm in Syria. I'm in Afghanistan and Iraq. I'm working in Malaysia. I'm a gold buyer. Orthopedic surgeon's huge. Things like that. Those are things that should set off red flags in your head that maybe this is a scammer. I'm 57 years old and I have a 2-year-old tiny child that is away at boarding school. It's things like that that are red flags. So that's typically what scammers say. My wife died. I'm a widow. My wife died of cancer. She died in a car crash. She cheated on me with my best friend in our marital bed and ran off. She was on drugs. It's the same crap stories. So just really look for those things. Look for those things, and especially military. There's so many fake military profiles out there, and so many are still falling for it. We have at least 10 people a day that come to our inbox and say, I'm in love with this military man. I sent him $6,000 because, he needed to come home. It's like, come on. So people are not learning, and scammers are not changing their stories. So as long as they keep to the same crap story, you should know what to look out for. So that's just a few things. Checking the URL. Again, we're talking to Bob Smith online, and his URL is Miss Oyaweo Wababui. Okay, something's wrong. Look at those things. Look at those things. Always check. Be an investigator. It's really easy. Everything we do online, we've learned ourselves, and that's what you should do too. Don't automatically send money to a person. So many people just hand out money. It's ridiculous. So just remember that. And to look at somebody's comment earlier, there are smart scammers. Like, we get this perception in our head that all scammers are stupid and they can't M from the state. How is the weather condition? Okay, yeah, there are some like that. There's a lot like that. But there are scammers who are college educated. I've met scammers myself that are master's degree in business, master's degree in computer programming, that went to a 4-year university, that are smart. So that's what's scary. There are smart scammers. Yeah, there's stupid ones. We see them all the time. I screw with people all the time online that say they're on an oil rig, and I tell them that, my husband's head exploded. Okay, but there are some that actually listen to what you say, and they're very smart. They're very, very, very well educated. So those are the dangerous ones you need to be careful for as well. Yeah, also oil rig. Oil rig is another popular one. I'm on an oil rig, dear. I'm in the Middle Sea, dear. We all know those stories. Um, we all know those stories. Next question. What are some things to look out for when talking? Oh, that's what I want to know. Do you think this year will be worse for scamming because of the pandemic? If so, why? It's been worse this year. The problem with the pandemic is a lot of people are isolated. A lot of people are not going out to bars and restaurants and having that social life that we used to have before the pandemic. We're not going to concerts. We're not going to Vegas for the weekend. We're not traveling. We're not going on cruises. We're not doing things that we used to do. So what are we doing? We're going online. We're sitting on our computers and our phones and we're chatting with people because we, as human beings, we crave that, you know, interaction. So yes, the pandemic has made it worse. More scammers are trying to talk to victims who are lonely, and loneliness leads to vulnerability, which leads to people giving money and falling in love. So it's going to get worse. Also, you know, like I said, keep in mind scammers know what's going on in your country. They follow, especially the United States. They follow what's happening every day. You know, people are amazed. People in other countries see our news just like we do. People get Fox News and CNN and all this stuff over, abroad. Scammers watch the news just as well as you and I do. So they know when we get our stimulus checks. They know when tax time rolls around, when we get our money. They know when we get extra stuff from the government. So yeah, I think it's going to get worse, and I think the loneliness and vulnerability of people is going to make it worse as well. So you have to be vigilant. You have to be careful. You have to make sure that, you know, even though you're lonely, even though this person is telling you they love you and sending you Celine Dion songs, that you don't mentally fall for a scam. Don't mentally give yourself away to somebody who's you've never met. Don't let the loneliness reach into your pocketbook and send money because it's bound to happen. Next question. Would a real military man who is chatting online with me show me his ID right away to prove he's real? No. No. So it's very extremely rare that a military man is going to be chatting with some perfect stranger online. Okay. Um, you know, a real military man and even a real person in general is not going to give you their ID. They're not going to do it. A military person is not going to say, "Hello, dear, nice to meet you. Here's my military ID." They don't do that, and scammers do that. Scammers do that to try and gain your trust. You have to look at it in the same way as, you know, a military ID to a person is like your credit card. You wouldn't show people, "Look, I got a Visa card." They don't. Military men don't do that. Women don't do that either. So no, if you're talking to a military man online and they want to show you their ID, then it's going to be a scammer all the time. And the ID will be fake, of course, and most of them are very, very horribly made. So they do. They ask if you've eaten. They always ask if you've eaten. They've always asked the weather condition over there, dear. And you could tell them you had a hurricane blow your trailer down, and they will reply to you with, "That's nice." So yeah, it's typical questions they ask. And love songs. They send you love songs. They send you Celine Dion from Titanic. They send all that crap. Next question. And this kind of goes with the last question. If a person is fake, why would they provide me their ID, passport, birth certificate, and photos of their home? Don't you think that shows that they want to be straightforward? No, it shows they want to be a scammer. So this comes back to let's discuss this. Put yourself in a position where you're at the grocery store and you're talking to somebody you met and you know in line and you think they're handsome or you think it's you know someone that's attractive and you want to get to know them. You tell them your name. You say, "Hi, my name is Betty." What you don't do is you don't pull out your passport, your ID, your social security card, your birth certificate and show them photos of your home and tell them where you live. So if somebody is doing that to you online, it's a scammer, and it's a scammer who's trying to prove themselves to you right away to gain your trust. Most of the photos that they send are photos of houses that are for sale, that they find off Zillow, they find off real estate websites, and they take them and go, "Here's my home in Florida," and it's a house for sale in Florida. They take all kinds of photos. They Photoshop IDs. They also take IDs from victims that they've gotten over the years. Like they'll tell a target victim they've won a Publishers Clearinghouse prize. You got to show your ID to get the prize. And so someone will show their ID. That scammer will take that ID and make their own profile with that ID and say, "Oh, here I am. See. And they do that a lot. So no, if someone is literally throwing you their documents, throwing you their ID, their birth certificate, pictures of their home right away, and it's going to be a scammer, and it's going to be someone that's just wanting to gain your trust very, very quickly. So no, a real person would not do that. Put yourself in their shoes. Would you, if someone you just met online on a dating site, would you show them your personal documents right away? No. You don't do that. You know, maybe once you meet in person and you're in a relationship, okay, fine. But not someone you just met online that you've never met in person. You're not. No, no. So it's ridiculous they do it, and they do it quite often. So we got a couple more questions. Next one. I've been talking to a man online for a few months. He's not asked me for anything but sent flowers to my home. Oh. I found out his picture online is on a scam page. When I confronted him, he said his picture was stolen by dirty scammers. I think I'm talking to the real man, as he sent me flowers. Would a scammer send flowers? And he got very angry to know that his picture is being stolen and used. What do you think? Why would a scammer act this way? It's a scammer. Look, if you're talking to somebody online and they go, oh, my photos were stolen, I'm going to call the police and the police are going to take them down. It's a scammer. It's a scammer who got found out, and so he's going to say, oh no, they're stolen. I'm a victim. When they get cornered and they get caught, they're going to play victim, and that's what they do. They say, oh, I was hacked. I was hacked. My photos were stolen. I was hacked by dirty, filthy scammers. I've had actual West African scammers tell me that they had filthy, dirty, disgusting Africans steal their photos, and I'm like, you are from there. You're calling your own self that, and so, um, they do that. They do that to try and create drama and act like they're real. As far as sending flowers, scammers use stolen credit cards to buy flowers and send them to victims' homes. They do it all the time. The flowers on our Facebook page here were bought with stolen credit cards from a scammer that sent them to Anne many years ago. So yes, they do use stolen credit cards to send you flowers, chocolates, teddy bears. They'll send a pizza to your house. They'll do whatever they got to do to try and gain your trust. I've had my credit card numbers compromised, and someone sent food to somebody in like 10 states away from me, and I found out it was a woman who got the food, $200 worth on my credit card, and but it was ordered from someone in Nigeria off the website. So they do steal credit cards. They buy you things to gain your trust. Dan, can a scammer still find you if you have many alias? It depends. I mean, if you're using the same phone number, the same email address, same photos on a new profile as an alias that you did on an old one, they can. If you're not, and if you're just using a whole totally new name, new everything, unlikely unless they're hackers. They're really good at what they do. They can get your IP address and try to follow you around, but it's unlikely. But a lot of people use their same email address to register these things, and if you do that, that's wrong because they'll find you that way. But keep in mind, some scammers will stalk you. They might have sent a virus to your computer so they can keystroke stalk you. They know where you're going. They know what's going on. So be careful. But if you create a whole new alias, and usually not. Christy had one tell me I had to buy an iTunes card. Then were so stupid they sent me a shot of the claim truck out for delivering my winnings. Yet they weren't smart enough to cut out the Florida plate and claim they're Virginia. I like when they're dumb. I love when they're dumb. They amuse me when they're stupid. They scare me when they're really good. So we've had some really dumb scammers, and we've had some really good stupid ones. I've had some that pretended to be the president of Nigeria. So hey, So our final question, and if you guys have questions, I'll answer them in the inbox or in the chat. But our final question tonight that was written in is, why can't the real man in the photo stop the scammer from using his pictures? It's an awesome question. Hi, Beth. It's an awesome question. So we hear this often. Why can't the man in the photo stop the scammers from using their photos? It's impossible. We're not living in the 80s where you have a picture. Here's my picture. Oh, okay, and then take it back. We live in a digital age where your photo is online and it can go everywhere. So a great example, we have a gentleman that comes to our page. I don't want to say his name for safety, but he's had his photos stolen. He comes to our inbox quite often. He says, here's some more fakes. scammers use his photo. They also use his name, and they create hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of profiles using his photos, sometimes his name, sometimes a fake name. And he, reports everyone he can find. But still, you report one and 15 more pop up. There's no way to actually stop someone from using your photo. We've seen gentlemen like George Kozma. He's a Romanian. He's a security expert. He's not in the military. He's a security guard, and he goes to Afghanistan quite often to do security. And he had his photos stolen. And we've talked to him a few times. He's a legit guy. He's married. He's got 2 great kids. He's got everything. And scammers use his photos, and they have for the last 5 or 6 years. He actually made a video, and he made this video stating, "Do not talk to anyone using my photos. I'm not a scammer. I live in Romania." All these different things. What the scammers did, and his intentions were great, and I understand why he did it, but what the scammers actually did, and they did the same thing with Dr. Pinto when he made a video, they stole that video, scammers did, they dubbed over the video, and they play it like a movie to victims on video chat. And so even more people are falling for him or her or whoever because they're using stolen video. So, a lot of victims of photo theft do all they can do, and they make videos and they warn people, but they can't stop them from using the photos. It's just impossible. And that also comes down to, don't go looking for the real man in the photo, because you're more than likely to find another fake, a scammer, who's going to say, "Oh, I'm the real man, thank you, dear," and then they scam you again. We've had victims that have got scammed 2 and 3 and 4 times by people that are using, stolen photos, and they think they found the real man, and then they had this fantasy that they'd meet and fall in love with the real man, and then they fell in love with another scammer. So, and sometimes we've had victims that have found the real man, told the real man, "Hey, your photos are being stolen, hey," and the real man says, "F you, I don't want to hear from you, I'm married with kids." So, the best thing you can do is block. Realize that the person in the photo can do nothing about their photos being stolen, and they're victims just as much as you are. So, I hope that answers your questions, and that's what happened. So, that's all the questions that people wrote in tonight for. So, if you guys have questions in the chat, I'm happy to answer them for you. And as you know, we do another Q&A in November. I'm thinking around the middle of November, just because of the holidays and stuff coming up. But we also did a live chat the day before yesterday on YouTube, where we chatted as Betty, and we had a lot of fun. So the ones we do on YouTube are going to be more of a fun one. The ones we do here are a little bit more informative. Susan had a question. How do you find the scammer? It depends. A lot of people ask us, how do you find the scammers? How do you find their photos? A couple ways. First way we find them is sometimes the scammers leave their real photos open on their fake profiles. So we just go into the albums or their timeline and we see them and go, "Oh, hey, there's the real scammer." Sometimes we find them through payment details. If they ask for a photo, if they ask for money to be sent to somebody in Nigeria or Ghana or India or whatever, sometimes it leads right to the real face. Sometimes their phone number will lead to their real profile. Not as often anymore. A lot of scammers are taking their phone numbers off of social media because they know they can be found that way. Another way is if you're talking to somebody and we look on their profile and their URL is like, I'll give an example, Calvin Oyuil. And we look at the likes on the photos and we see someone with that same last name liking their photo. We'll go to that scammer's profile that likes their photo, and sometimes they'll tag their friends and stuff in the photos. So we find them that way as well. But most times it's just because they leave their profiles and information open. So that's what happens quite often. Not being able to stop my photos what bothers me the most. I had to do the same as the stuff they go through. Why stalk us? They want the photos. I mean, one question we're asked very often is, how do these scammers get these photos? And especially soldier photos. And I tell them it's very easy. We had one lady that believed that soldiers were selling their photos to scammers, and that's a scammer will never pay for a photo. Okay, let's put it that way. What happens is a lot of people, and especially those in the military, and I get it. I get why they do social media. I get why they do Instagram. If you, unlike myself, if you're built like a bodybuilder and you're very handsome and you're very ripped and muscular and you love photos of yourself at the gym and you want to post them for ladies to go Google over, I get a lot of young military men do that. There's a lot of military Instagram profiles that are legit, men, they have hundreds of thousands of followers, and they post 300 photos of themselves without a shirt on, and they post videos of themselves working out in the gym or, training or whatever, and that's fine. That's what social media is for. That's what you do when you're 25. However, with doing that comes consequences, because scammers go on to those profiles and they steal all those photos and all those videos, and then they make fake profiles with them. And that's where they're getting the photos from, the majority of them. I don't fault the people for putting their photos out there if that's what they want to do, but they don't realize that it does come with a consequence. And the consequence is you'll have scammers stealing your photos, and you'll have them being used in romance scams. So that's where they're getting the photos from, the majority of them. Some of them are just stolen from websites. If they're a famous person, like a famous general, there's photos for days that they can get. So, that's where they get them from. That's what happens. They steal them from all over, but that's the main place where they get them from. So, and again, it comes down to checking the photos, listening to what the person says, paying attention and what they're asking of you. At the end of the day, it's up to you. You're the person giving the money. You're the person giving the gift cards. You can say no, and too many people don't say no. So that's what's scary. Almost 7 years doing this with Ann, and people still give money. We're shocked, but they still do. So, but thanks to everyone for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it. A scammer tried to blackmail me for $2,000 for pictures. I've had ones that have used Betty's head and put it on a naked photo and said, "I'm going to send this to everybody," and I just replied with, "Go ahead, put it all over the place, make me famous." So, Beth, after my run-in with scammers, I find it difficult to trust anyone. Is this normal? Yes, it is. Scammers emotionally manipulate you, and they make it hard for you to trust again, and that's normal. You've been the victim of a crime, and you've been emotionally manipulated. It's the same theory as, let's say you're married for a number of years and your husband cheats on you, and it destroys you. It messes your psyche. It messes your heart up. It makes it hard for you to trust again, hard for you to love again. We've all been in that situation where, we can't open up to people because we've been messed with, whether it be you cheated on or emotionally manipulated or abused or whatever. Being scammed by a scammer is abuse. It's emotional abuse, and so it does mess with you. But at the same time, you can't let a scammer control you to the point where even long after he's scammed you and he's gone out of your life and he's moved on to another victim, he's still controlling you because you're not allowing other people in your life. So that is letting a scammer win when you do that. So don't let a scammer win. Don't let a scammer take away your joy and your happiness. Move on with your life. Be vigilant. Know what to look out for. But do trust again, because there are good people out there. There always are. There's good and bad everywhere. So I hope that answers your guys' questions. If you guys have any other questions, you can always inbox them to us and we'll answer. I'm working the inbox tonight. So Anna and myself are both in the inbox. So be careful. Do know, like I said, the holiday season is coming up. You're going to get tons of friend requests, 105 friend requests in one day. I believe that. Instagram is getting extremely, extremely busy with scammers as well, so be very careful with Instagram too. But thank you guys for coming to our Q&A for October. I hope you guys have a happy Halloween if you celebrate it in your country. Be safe out there. Take care of yourself, take care of your friends, take care of your heart. Don't give money to people that you don't know and give cards and things like that. We will have some more victim stories coming out. I'm working on another one right now on our YouTube channel. And as always, we're always in our inbox here if you need help. And we're always here for you. And if you have any questions, you can inbox them to us. Look for us to do some more exciting things as the year goes on and into the new year. We'll be doing some merchandising. We have a merchandise store we're opening up. We're trying to. And we have Patreon, Facebook. We have always on Facebook, and patreon.com scamming scammers, and then youtube.com scamming scammers, and we're making lots of new videos. You guys stay safe. If you're in America, make sure you get out there and vote for whatever you believe is right. I'm really not giving my opinion. So stay safe, be well, take care of yourselves, and if you need help, you can find us in the inbox. Thank you guys. Much love to everybody, and we'll see you in November in probably about 3 weeks. So we'll talk to you then. Bye, everybody. Be well.